Hello, welcome to the video. John Bodine here again with Redemptive Psych. And in this video, we're continuing our DIY MBTI series where you can use the test or a test and adding a couple vectors, a couple filters to that, you can increase the likelihood that the result will be accurate. Now, it means also that if you take a test or if you've already taken a test, not to be too attached to that result until you've put it through some of these filters. The tests are okay, but they do have a tendency to mistype at least one or two elements of your personality. Today we're talking about what I feel is the biggest wrench in the test taking, and that is our third function, the child function. The child for all of our types, which is for all of us, it's in this third function here. The child for all of us is like a little motor that just keeps going. It is fairly powerful and fairly capable. It's very fun to use. We like using our child. It's very energizing to use. It's energy conservative at worst, and at best, it is a energy. It generates energy for us. It is, as I said, fairly capable, especially the more you use it. But it is also kind of naive, which is part of the fun and part of the risk. Now, the child, one way to think about the child is like being a mini hero function. It has some of the similar energy of can-do that the hero has. It has that renewing energy aspect that the hero also has. Using our hero function is also a energy-giving experience. So I'm going to jump to the bottom quickly to give you an example, and then we'll go a little further. So if you test as an ISTJ, for example, think about consider that what you may actually be is something close to that, but not that, such as the ISFJ. For example, the ISFJ, their third function is introverted thinking. Their child is actually a thinking function. So what the test may pick up on is that this person has an ability to use their thinking function, even a preference for it at times. And vice versa is also true. If you test as an ISFJ, consider some other types, but especially the ISTJ, because ISTJs, even though they're a T type, their child function is introverted feeling. ISTJs are actually quite moody and emotional underneath their more stoic and blunt veneer. Or not veneer, but the way they express themselves. So be careful about the secondary, or in this case, the tertiary elements overtaking the test, which it can do. Likewise with the ENTJ and the ESTJ. Say you test as an ENTJ. Be careful. Maybe check out the ESTJ, because the ESTJ's third function, their child, is extroverted intuition. Any child likes to learn, likes to explore some possibilities, likes to explore some options, aspires to be more philosophical and abstract. So consider that it could be the child, your child function, overriding the test. Likewise, be careful if you test as an ESTJ, because the ENTJ's child is extroverted sensing. ENTJs love to give experiences to other people. They're usually pretty competitive. They're fairly aware of the environment and the here and now, even though they're abstract. So be careful about that reversal. So zooming out to a bigger picture here, we should ask the question, why does it confuse the test results? Or why does it confuse people, experts who may be typing you? One of the big reasons is because the child is a signifier of our growth and our expansion. The child leads the charge of the expansion of our lower functions. It leads the charge of itself into becoming a little more responsible and capable, and of the inferior function, where through the child's use, the inferior is also kind of dragged along with it into growth. So for us, for all of us, using the child is a way that our personality expands and grows and starts to integrate more traits that are beyond the stereotype of our actual type. So it's good to use the child. It can lead to growth and expansion, but this is also one of the reasons why it may confuse the test. Now, we're going to dig in here for a moment to two of the types that often mistype either as each other or as something close to it, especially the ENTP. I don't think I've seen a type that mistypes as other things more than the ENTP. And one of the reasons why is extroverted feeling child. they are actually pretty socially skilled in general. They like to interact socially. They're usually pretty gregarious and pretty socially comfortable. Now, this can result in all kinds of mistypes for the ENTP. The most obvious might be ENFP. Because of their FE child, they have this feeling capacity to them. They can test as an ENFP. The test can pick up on that preference for feeling at times. Now, the ENTP can test also as an INFJ, where ENTPs think that they're introverts because SI inferior is so sensitive to their own experience, and when they get burnt out, they're done, almost like an introvert is. But ENTPs are still extroverts. Likewise, with an INFJ, similar to the other IJs down here, they may test as an INTJ or some other T type because of TI child. TI child, they think like all the time, especially if that function was rewarded more in their early environment growing up, or even if they had to force themselves to use it because they realized that that was an energy renewing source for them. INFJs, they don't feel like feelers on the inside because their internal state is one of logic and thinking. They feel externally, that they feel for others more than for themselves. So on a subjective internal state, they would probably identify more as a thinker, even though they are technically a feeler because the feeling function is higher. INFJs often feel very detached from others or detached from other things and feel like this logic machine, a little bit soulless at times, partly because of TI child. So INFJs can test as other types. I've seen a lot of other types test as INFJs, but a true INFJ is actually a little bit less sensitive. They're not as sensitive as an INFP. They're more detached, like I said. So be careful with that. I see these types type as the other one. I see ENTPs type as like 4 or 5 different types. I see INFPs and INTJs type as INFJs, especially as well. So it's a lot to keep track of. There's a lot of ways that the test can misfire, largely because of the child. So if you get a test result, try not to get too attached to it. And if you're already a little bit attached, perhaps reconsider that the child function is throwing a wrench, and explore the different child functions of types close to it, or other intuitive types, or other sensing types, other thinking types, wherever your exploration leads. Consider that the child is actually more powerful than the test might reveal to you. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you next time. Bye.